Hello everybody, thanks for tuning into Skern Station. In this video, we'll have a look at the Shadowlands class changes for all Death Knight specializations. First, we cover the general Death Knight changes that apply to all specializations, followed up by Blood, Unholy and the Frost spec in that respective order. If you're interested in only one of the specializations, skip to their respective chapter in this video after the general section. Without further ado, let's start with the general class changes for Death Knights. All specializations will have access to the following spells and talents. Anti-Magic Zone, that will reduce the spell damage to all party or raid members by 20% that stand within it. Chains of Ice, that reduce the movement speed of the target by 70%. Death and Decay will now also be available for Frost Death Knights. All DKs will have access to Death Call from now on. Lichborn is an instant cast 2-minute cooldown that draws upon unholy energy to become an undead for 10 seconds, increasing your leech by 10% and making you immune to charm, fear and sleep. Sacrificial Pact is a new ability available at level 54 that allows Death Knights to sacrifice their minion to deal shadow damage to 8 enemies nearby and heal them for 25% of their maximum health. In this new expansions, Death Knights will also get 5 new runes that they can apply through the Rune Forge to their weapons. The first one is the Rune of Spell Warding that deflects 3% of all spell damage and has a chance to create a shield that absorbs magic damage equal to 10% of your maximum health. When an enemy damages the shield, their cast speed is reduced by 10% for 6 seconds. The next one is the Rune of Hysteria that increases the maximum runic power by 20, and your attacks will have a chance to increase the runic power generation by 20% for 8 seconds. The third one is the Rune of Sanguination that causes your Death Strike to deal increased damage based on the target's missing health. When you fall below 35% health, you will heal for 48% of your maximum health over 8 seconds. The next one is the Rune of Apocalypse, which gives your ghouls' attacks a chance to apply one of the following debuffs to the target. Death, reduce the healing taken by 1%. War, increase damage taken by 1%. Famine, that reduces the damage done to the Death Knight by 2%. And last, Pestilence, that slows the target by 50% and deals 150 shadow damage over time. The last rune is the Rune of the Unending Thirst that grants 10% haste and movement speed and heals you for 5% of your maximum health when you kill an enemy that yields either experience or honor. Additionally, it will increase your movement speed while dead by 10%. Overall, Death Knights look pretty decent in the upcoming expansion. Let's proceed now with the changes to the Blood Death Knights. First of all, Blood Tap is returning. It has 2 charges and will let you generate 1 rune. The recharge time is reduced by 2% whenever a Bone Shield charge is consumed. Next, we have Rune Tap. It is now an ability and it has been removed from the global cooldown, so you will be able to use it whenever you need to. It will reduce all incoming damage by 20% for 4 seconds. To conclude the overview of the Blood DK changes, let's have a look at the talents. In the first row, now we can pick Tombstone. It was previously a talent in the third row. In the second row, we have no changes compared to Battle for Azeroth. In the third row, we have Relish in Blood, since Tombstone was moved to the first row. This talent has the effect that while Crimson Scourge is active, your next Death and Decay will heal you for a certain amount per Bone Shield stack that you had, and you immediately will gain 10 runic power. Since Rune Tap is now a standard ability, you will be able to pick Mark of Blood instead. This talent was previously in the 6th row in Battle for Azeroth. Row number 5 has again no changes. In the next row, you will have Death Pact as a replacement for Mark of Blood. These were all the changes to Blood DKs. Overall, they are in a great position. Let's continue with the Unholy specialization. Summon Gargoyle is now a baseline skill. Previously, it was a talent. Mastery Dreadblade. This passive will now also increase the damage of your servant. The range of Outbreak has now been increased from 8 to 10 yards. Virulent Plague now lasts 27 seconds from previously 21. Unfortunately, Death and Decay and Scorched Strike have been nerfed and will only hit up to 5 targets at once. Previously, you were doing damage to all enemies. This is valid for all specs, unfortunately. The Unholy Blight talent makes your minions deal 5% more damage to the enemies affected by it. This debuff stacks 4 times. Concerning the changes to the Unholy talents, we have only a change in the last row. As mentioned before in this video, Summon Gargoyle is now a baseline talent. Instead of it, we now can choose Unholy Pact. This creates a shadow damage chain between you and your pet. Additionally, your strength is increased by 8% while active. In the same row, we now have also Unholy Assault. It is basically the same skill as Unholy Frenzy, it has just been renamed. Last but not least, let's have a look at the Frost specialization. Finally, Frost Death Knights can also use two-handed weapons instead of being stuck to dual wielding one-handed ones. This is great and gives you more flexibility if you want to play another specialization too, for example. Now you don't need to farm extra weapons. Overall, it is to be seen how good two-handed weapons are for Forst DKs. One concern is that if you use two-handers, you won't benefit from the 2 Death Knight specific rune enchantments that you have while dual wielding. Let's proceed with the skills. The damage of Obliterate has been doubled to 120% from 60. Frostworm is now accessible to all Forst DKs since it's now a baseline spell. Frost Sight only deals damage up to 5 targets. This is a nerf. Now let's have a look at the talent changes. Here we don't have many. Instead of the Frostworm's Fury, which is now a baseline spell, in the 6th row we have a new talent called Hypothermic Presence that reduces the runic power cost of your abilities by 35% for 8 seconds. This talent is off the global cooldown. So people, I hope you enjoyed this video and it gave you a good overview of all important Death Knight changes. In case that some last minute changes are made, I will post that information in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. See you next time.